And one. Hello and welcome to the After Dark podcast. I am your host Gus, and I'm joined by Mr. Hype.
Hi, I made it. I survived another week.
That's okay.
I'm doing better than Booze. He has been posting supposedly in the After Dark podcast chat. Come to find out, someone hacked his account. He is actually literally lost in the desert somewhere.
No, he's.
I thought about starting a GoFundMe page to try to, hire a search party, go find him. But I felt like that might be a little mean-spirited towards the whole, other people have serious diseases and things. He just got lost because of his own stupidity.
He's playing Pokemon Go.
Anyway, if you do see Boozman somewhere in the Arizona desert, pick him up, give him some water, get him back home.
Yes, so Boozman last week, he was fighting Nazis off the face of the moon. And then he comes back home to a hero's welcome, and then all of a sudden he gets caught up in this Pokemon Go craze and gets lost in the fucking Arizona desert. He's probably dead with rattlesnakes, man. I fucking hate snakes, dude.
Well, unless he caught them. That's how Pokemon Go works, right?
Yeah, but it's not...
capture things.
You don't catch the actual snakes. Unless he's fucking Bear Grylls and, eating them, gutting them alive and shit.
You might be in trouble then. Oh, shit.
Alright, so...
Anyway, alright, well, wherever you are, Booze, Godspeed.
And hopefully the Navy SEALs find you before the rats do. Or the wolves do, I should say. But...
the rats in the desert.
My bad. We have a special guest on tonight. You guys know him in all the chats on the Fantasy Life app. Falafel headquarters, as we like to say. And on the After Dark podcast chat. He is known as the one and only Fantasy Insider. Hello, sir. How are you doing today?
What up? How's everyone doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. How's life? How's everything been for you? You doing good?
Pretty good, yeah. Pretty fucking good.
There you go. See? A curse word.
Hey, you know what? Actually, I was going to start a new, I won't call it a segment, but last week we had Prophet on, as you know, and he is apparently curses like a sailor, told us he likes to curse or, has no issue with it, and didn't curse on the whole pod, from what I understand. So my first question to you, Fantasy, was, what is your favorite curse word? But you've kind of already cursed, so you can still answer the question, but...
I think it was pretty fucking clear what my favorite curse word.
I think that's the best curse word of all time. It has so many meanings. Just fuck you and fuck
Well,
this.
the podcast is over now, so...
There you go. We've have our answer. Everybody have a good week. No, I'm kidding.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do happen to notice you're a frequent guest in the After Dark podcast chat, and you are a little bit crass. You seem to enjoy kind of some of our banter and some of the crazy things that we do. So it's nice to have you on. Appreciate you taking the time to visit with us this evening and have some sports and other topic related conversations.
All right, man. Anytime for sure.
I have just one question. Is J.R. Smith with you? Are you partying with him right now?
Nah, yeah. He's still trying to get a contract. I don't know what's wrong with him.
I thought
he usually visits One Oak and shit, but I don't know. I haven't seen him in years.
I'm sorry to hear that. I thought he already got a contract with Cleveland, or did he agree to sign and they haven't just signed it yet?
Nah, I don't think he signed the last time I checked.
Oh, well.
Ooh, he's still out there, huh?
Yeah, he's still out there.
Anybody wants a little bit richer man's version of Nick Young, get on that.
Who shoots the ball way too much, in my opinion. But, hey, it worked. Cavaliers are the champions.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I know sports seem a little light these days, but we did have a few things we wanted to touch on. I think we wanted to talk about football?
Yeah.
I guess. Some football shit's happening?
One thing might have happened in the world of football.
I know Gus is very in tune with what's going on with this story.
Am I? I don't know. All right, let me bring him on.
Yeah, are you what are your emotional reactions to this? I'm curious.
My emotional reaction to this, he's a good player. Obviously, we're talking about the addition of Arian Foster to the Miami Dolphins. He's a good player. He's on a cheap contract, a 1-year, $1.5 million deal. You either show up, and if he gets injured again, it's not a big loss. So,
yeah.
All right.
I guess my bigger question, because actually the day before he signed, as soon as I heard he was going to work out with the Dolphins, I know he went to college in Tennessee. The South area is kind of his, he obviously Houston, a little bit in the Gulf area. I just kind of figured as soon as I heard Miami was his first team, if he works out and he's physically able to give it a go, somebody's going to, offer him a contract. I don't think he's going to hesitate. And so I knew that was going to happen. But, I think my big issue is with Ajayi. What do you feel about him? And do you feel like he's getting slighted? Do you feel like he's not the right back anyway? Where do you stand with that?
I don't think the Miami Dolphins believe he's the right back. Because the Dolphins throughout the offseason have been looking for other running backs. Obviously, we try to grab C.J. Anderson from the Denver Broncos, and obviously the Broncos, matched the offer, and he's still with the team. So I just don't think they trust him long term, which I agree I don't either, just because of his knee situation. There's a reason why he fell to the 5th round. He's a great talent. He's a good player. He's going to be solid for us, but we need that security for him, just in case he does go down. Granted, Arian Foster isn't the best security, for him, because he's also heavily injury prone, but he's just another running back to take away carries from him and make sure that he doesn't get worn out by, 2-3 years time. And that's another reason why we drafted Kenny and Drake, just for more security. So
yeah. Fantasy, you got any input on that, or you?
Yeah, Arian Foster's always been a good back and shit, but the thing is, Jay Ajayi, I think they got Arian Foster because he's not really a good pass catcher, and I think they didn't really have enough trust in Jay Ajayi, as he said about the signing of C.J. Anderson. They wanted to offer him $10 million guaranteed. So, and just getting Kenyon Drake in the 3rd round, that was just like the nail in the coffin that they had to sign someone else. So I think he definitely takes away a lot of in game situations like passing. But I think Jay Ajayi is still the starter as of now.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Yeah, so there probably are some fantasy implications there as well. But I feel like there might be someone else that wants to chime in here. Gus, do you want to take this?
I agree. I'm going to bring him on right now. We're going to have a special mid-podcast guest coming out to the show. And let's see if he answers the damn telephone.
What's going on, fellas?
Yo, what's going on? Of course, this is the one and only Josh Kelly from the Fantasy Life app.
Josh Kelly time on the Fantasy Life app.
There you go. You cut me off, yes. You son of a bitch. He is one of the co-hosts of the FLOG podcast, the Fantasy Life OGs, the gangsters. How's it going, Josh?
How's it going? Great. Happy to be on. Thanks for having me, fellas.
For sure. Yeah, it is an honor to be drafted into the FLOG side of the division for our big old Clock Dodgers FLOG.
Yeah, we're happy to have you, Hype.
Crazy.
I think we got to.
Anyway,
I'm most excited. There's a lot of people that want to trade like me. I'm excited for all that craziness.
And down, and we'll talk about fantasy. But we were just mentioning the Arian Foster deal because not a lot is going on right now, but that is kind of some news, and I know you're a big Dolphins fan. What are your feelings on it? What are your initial kind of reaction?
I have mixed emotions, right? So I've been a perpetual pessimistic Dolphins fan over the years, right?
How can you not be?
That's the only way to live. And what was interesting this past season, even this previous season to this, I actually had a lot of hope, more hope than I had had in a long time. I was a big Tannehill believer. I'm still hopeful that Gase can turn it around. But it was the first year when I was really letting myself think about the possibility of a little bit of a playoff run, and obviously my dreams were dashed. And so this off season I've been back to my pessimistic ways, and I just I was a little disappointed actually in the Foster signing, mostly because I want to see what Jay Ajayi can do. I think that this isn't our year to necessarily compete and win, and signing Foster seems more of like a win now move. I expected it out of a team like the Patriots or the Colts or even the Raiders. I know that they obviously aren't super happy with Latavius Murray and have been kind of toying with the idea of some other backs, and so I was pretty floored when the Dolphins had signed them, and hopefully it's just a sign that they're happy with the team and Gase thinks they can compete now and that Foster can help with that. But I'm going to be cautiously optimistic moving forward about the team.
You don't think it's just what my opinion is, as a fellow Dolphin fan, that they're worried about Ajayi's long-term health and they just want to be able to have some trust, or not trust, I should say, insurance.
Yeah, I get that, but Foster seems like the wrong dude for that position of an insurance guy. He's as equally injury prone, and so I would have preferred to bring in a different type of veteran presence that can be there to teach a young guy, but that not necessarily isn't going to take touches. Like, I think that when Foster's healthy, I think he's still an amazing back and deserves to get touches, and they are going to need to give him the ball if really their goal is to win, and I think that's going to be difficult to do. So I just would have preferred going elsewhere and letting Ajayi know that he's the guy and having the weight on his shoulders to see if he can lift it. And another byproduct of it is that we probably will see less Kenyon Drake now, and I was kind of excited to see him. He's a shifty little rookie back out of Alabama that I had been drafting late in some of my MFL 10 leagues, and it kind of obviously is going to take away from his touches as well. So we'll see. I don't know. It seems more of like a win now move to me personally, and I just am surprised by that with this team. They must have a lot of faith in Tannehill really making a step up and Adam Gase helping to build that offense moving forward.
Yeah, I don't know that Foster comes back and near what he has been in the past. He's aging, the injury history. If he is a semblance of that, I feel like that definitely helps on the field. But I guess a follow-up to that for me is just taking it to a little bit different place. Where do you see the fantasy impact? Is there a Dolphins back to own? Is there any value there now, or is it just a really terrible situation? Stay away.
Yeah, I mean, I still think there's value. I think that Ajayi and Foster should both be drafted in most standard leagues, but definitely not as early. I had slated Ajayi as kind of a low-end RB2 in a 12-team league. I think I had him rated with the number 21 running back in our preseason rankings that we have up on the website, the fantasylifeog.com. And I'm going to have to bump him down a little bit just because I do think that Foster, when he's healthy, is going to eat into that a little bit. Now, I'll have him rated higher than Foster just because I trust him to be healthy a little more, but they'll be kind of close just because I wouldn't be surprised either way. So odds are that I won't be drafting them. I think that you'll see some people still take them a little bit earlier than necessarily I would. But it would be very hard to trust.
Fantasy, what do you think on that? Do you think you got to own both of them, or can you trust one of them to take the job and hold on to it?
I think if you're drafting right now, obviously you have to draft Jay because, Arian Foster is still not 100% healthy. And, Jay is still the starting, he knows the offense already. He doesn't have to learn a new offense. But if you could wait and you're drafting, another month or so, you could see how they distribute the carries in preseason and in training camp. So you might have a better idea.
Yeah,
who's getting updates right now?
Yeah, that was me. My bad. Kevin Durant just said something. So
me in fantasy right now. I'm like, no, stop. I can't. I'm not.
So my concern about this is just what happens if Arian Foster becomes that back that we all know and love, and who just as a Dolphin fan, I would love that. But
yeah,
if he becomes like let's say miraculously he plays like 12 or 14 games this year, and he has like RB, he's a top 15, 20 running back, or he maybe if he becomes the Arian Foster that we all know and love, then, geez, that would be amazing. I don't know, like, I know there's a lot of people that's going to think that when they think of Arian Foster, and they're going to think, oh, Arian Foster's way better, more talented than Jay Ajayi. I'm going to draft him in the 7th round. What do you guys say to those guys? Like, do you say, like, oh, hold off on that, or do you believe that maybe Arian Foster can come back and maybe take the reins on this job?
I mean, I guess I'll jump in really quick. I would definitely say
shut up, Greg. No. Okay.
Dude. Sorry, nobody said anything right there. I just feel like we've seen so many times where lead backs have gone down or lead backs have struggled, and somebody's come up out of the blue. I feel like I do agree with fantasy in a sense. Like, the longer you can wait to have your draft, it's going to hopefully work itself out a little bit more in that backfield. You just have to do your homework, be smart, handcuff guys, and if somehow Foster ends up in that position, you found yourself a steal, and you just have to. It's a huge gamble, and if you're the kind of owner that likes to make a huge gamble, then
I think also people forget that when he was healthy last year, and for the 4 games he did start, he actually didn't rush for 60 yards in any of the games, and I have the numbers up here. But the thing that made him so effective was he caught like three catches for 25 yards, 9 catches for 77 yards, and 5 catches, 59 yards, and he's catching every single game. So even if he doesn't start and Yaji is still the starter, I still think he could become, especially in deeper leagues, like a good pass catcher out of the backfield, and he definitely has some value if he's healthy. That's the big question that we have. So I still think you have to keep your eyes out, and for training camp and preseason. I think that's the main problem.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that is the reason that they brought him in, is that maybe they weren't as impressed with Drake in this training camp so far, and that they still wanted Jai to be the most down back and looking for Foster to kind of mix it up here and there. But I just think that even though he maybe didn't rush quite as much there last season, that the talent is still there, I believe. I know he's a little bit on the older side, but it wouldn't surprise me for Foster to take over completely that role, and so I'm probably going to stay away.
Okay. I know a lot of people. I asked that question because I know a lot of people are going to draft him super early, like they did last year. Because last year it was the same thing. He was coming off another injury, so I don't know. So let's ask you too. This is enough Arian Foster talk. I think we've killed that horse enough.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this first, Fantasy. Which teams in the NFL, you can talk about any team you want, is the most underrated team for you? Do you think that they're going to make maybe not the playoffs, but they'll make a good run and scare some teams in the wild card?
The main team I think that I have that maybe possibly could make the playoffs and that really nobody's really given attention to is probably the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Washington Redskins, especially with the Josh Norman signing. But let me get back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jameis Winston is going into his 2nd year, and now he has Dirk Carter as his offensive coordinator, as head coach. And they brought in a couple of guys that I think could help them on the defensive end. And I think really just another year of growth and, especially losing Josh Norman to Carolina Panthers. I think that division is up for grabs every single year. I mean, a couple years ago, Atlanta Falcons looked unstoppable. And I think Cam Newton takes a step back this year. So I think Tampa Bay Buccaneers have they're a team to watch, even though they might not be making too much noise right now.
All right, Josh, what about you?
Yeah, I like that Bucs pick. Did you guys see the recent picture of Jameis Winston? Apparently his dad says he's down 20 pounds this offseason, so I think that they definitely could be up for a step up. Another team that I think that is getting a lot of buzz, so maybe I know you guys talked about it a little bit last week, but it's just, I think it's worth bringing up again because it's so shocking that we're at this point, is that the Oakland Raiders really look like they're poised to make a playoff run. I really like the offseason additions that they made, and I think that obviously Derek Carr should continue to improve. Got a good receiving core there with Crabtree and Amari Cooper, and the Broncos should be down a little bit this year, so that helps them within that division to not have to compete with an amazing team like they did last year. And so I think, as crazy as it sounds, I'm buying the hype train that is going on there in Oakland.
See, I'm going to edit all that out because Prophet and Hype just talked about the Raiders the entire time last week.
Yeah, it's well deserved. So
yeah.
It's been a while since they were.
We've had to wait a long time.
About it's their time.
Contender, yeah.
Yeah, I do like both teams actually. I like the Raiders a little bit more because, as I talked about last week, they added a lot of good defensive additions. That their team's going to be really nice. I want to talk about the Buccaneers real quick. You don't think that maybe Carolina just owns again, I think Carolina is set up nicely for another, maybe not as good as last year, but maybe like another 12-4, or not another, but like a 12-4 season. I think they'll take the division.
Yeah, I think Carolina definitely takes the division.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely take the division, but, you know, the wild card are, you know, every single year, it's so much unpredictable. And, you know, I don't know, Vernon Hargreaves, you know, guys like Noah Spence, I think they could be like, they fit in very well with the way, like, the shape of their team.
And don't forget, Roberto Aguayo is going to be the key to this.
Dude, I've been picking him in every mock draft when it's the last round and like Gostkowski's gone and whoever else is gone, and I'm just like, Aguayo, I don't care, like whatever.
Actually, I drafted him in my dynasty draft, like super.
Roll the die, see what happens. Yeah,
I took him before Gostkowski was taken.
I'm not high on him, but I'm intrigued by him, and I don't mind having a player or two on my fantasy team that's intriguing.
I don't know if the Buccaneers could trade like 3 picks from the future away, I can take a chance.
Yeah, what the fuck was that about?
I don't know. That was a horrible. I mean, not horrible. We'll never know how these trades wind up until a few years down the line. But right now, it looks kind of dumb. Okay, what about your most overrated teams? Teams that you don't get the hype for, or you don't think it'd be as good as last year?
I mean, you could go with the Patriots, you know, not being the number 1 seed, especially missing the first 4 games, Tom Brady. But, you know, I still think they sneak into the playoffs, but maybe as a wild card too, you know, maybe the Buffalo Bills or even the Dolphins, you know, with Arian Foster signing. I think Patriots, I don't know if it's their year that they fall off and, you know, they get the division champs, but I don't know. I think if it was any year that the Patriots would not win the division, I think this year would be a good bet.
Don't toy with my emotions like that, okay? I have to apologize to the Patriot overlords. No, I'm kidding. Well, to your point, the last time Tom Brady didn't play a full season, the Dolphins did win the division back in 2008, right? With Chad Pennington?
Exactly.
I don't want to talk about that.
And I remember Mark Sanchez actually been to 2 AFC championships in a row, like in 2009 and 10. So,
yeah, they were a wildcard team, but you're right. They did advance to the playoffs. All right, Josh, what about you?
Yeah, so I think that one team that is getting a little bit of just a little bit too much hype for my take would be the Kansas City Chiefs. I know they had a good year last year at 11-5, but I don't know. Maybe it's my distrust of Andy Reid and not really knowing what they've done to improve it quite a bit. I know they got a ton of different running backs there with Jamal and Spencer Ware and Shakandrick West and whatnot, and I've seen a lot of people picking them to win the division. I still think they could be a playoff team, but I actually think that the Raiders are going to win that division. That's my pick.
Okay.
I like that news.
I mean, I like the Chiefs maybe to win the wild card. It's going to be tough. I think it's between those teams, as you said, the Raiders and the Chiefs. But the way the Chiefs played the last, 10 games? They won 10 games in a row, fighting back into the wild card. And then they slaughter the Texans. I think they're a really good team. Granted, I think they should, being Andy Reid, they need to give freaking Travis Kelce the ball more. But maybe that's just because I owned him last year and I was disappointed by his performance.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah,
the Texans game especially.
Yeah, I mean, to me, Travis Kelce's their best quote-unquote athlete outside of Jamal Charles, maybe. You just got to feed him the ball more. But I do like the Chiefs.
Yeah, and they slaughtered the Texans, but the Texans were a 9-7 team that limped into the playoffs with a backup QB. So I just wasn't as impressed by that victory. But we'll see what happens.
That's fair. All right, Greg, what about you? Do you have anything, or do you want to just be quiet?
I said my piece last week. Jaguars, Raiders kind of deal are a couple teams I'm looking at. For that division, I think I don't know. I don't want to say the Raiders are going to win it yet because they haven't been there yet. They have a lot of. They still, Carr is still young, but I think they definitely have a shot at it. I think Kansas City's right there too, of course. So I think Denver is the one that slides.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
Oh yeah.
All right. I guess that's enough football talk for the week. Josh Kelly, I want to thank you for joining us for a little, spot in guest performance.
Yeah, for sure. It was fun to be on here for a minute, and I'll say I really enjoyed your guys' podcast last week. Although when you told that story about the Dave Matthews Band concert, about your friend being all drunk and giggly, and then you being in a bathroom for the whole concert, it sounded to me more like there might have been some illicit drugs going on, maybe some mushrooms in the bathroom, just using a drunk story as a cover-up. Because Dave Matthews Band, a lot of that's going around.
Oh, for sure. That happens all the time. That didn't happen to me. That was another concert that something like that happened to me.
Yeah. So thanks again, fellas. I really appreciate you having me on.
It's a pleasure, man.
Dude,
have a good one.
And that was Josh Kelly from the FLOG podcast. That was fun.
Nice. Josh, at Josh Kelly time on the Fantasy Life app, too. Mm-hmm. Good guy. Hey, adding some credibility to the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, people
like we knew what we were talking about there.
People were like, damn, this sounds professional. People are like, wow, he knows his stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Which is always nice. When the guest does more homework than the host, we're in good shape, I guess.
What's that supposed to mean?
That's how our podcast is supposed to be run. Anyway, so fantasy. I hear you said you mentioned you follow the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel really
baseball.
I don't feel too great about them. I mean, I think they won 3 in a row, like for the first time in like a month or so. But they're still behind the division. I still think the Red Sox, are in good shape to win that division. Maybe the Orioles, but if we could sneak into the playoffs, I still don't feel great.
Yeah. Do you we don't have to spend a lot of time talking about them, but do you feel that they're going to be sellers pretty soon here? What do you kind of think is going to shake out in terms of that?
I think they do want to trade Chapman because there's no point of having three monsters in the bullpen, with Betances, Andrew Miller, and Chapman. I think they definitely, if they could sell Chapman and get some good value for him, especially, there's still 6 games back. I don't see them, making noise this year. And I think Chapman, if a team is trying to get in and they could get a guy like Chapman right now, I think they have to jump on the deal,
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that the Cubs are looking at Chapman right now. And also the Marlins are looking at Michael Pineda, trying to grab him. But depends on how big of a sellers the Yankees really are. Because I think Pineda, he's having a rocky year this year, but he has a lot of talent.
Yeah, he's definitely a good guy. I mean, he's actually starting tomorrow. So, wait, when is the trade deadline anyway? Like a couple of weeks or so?
Yeah, it's like 2 weeks. I think it's like next Thursday.
Oh, yeah, so that's fine. But yeah, I always like Pineda. I don't think they sell like a starter. I think if they were to sell, I think it would be Chapman or maybe like a rotational, like a third baseman or one of their infielders.
They still have time afterwards when you can, like, if you can get guys through waivers, push them through waivers and make trades that way. But that's a little rarer. Obviously, that happens on occasion. But yeah, I agree with you. I feel like they definitely want to move a couple of pieces. Hopefully, just based on what they have and what they need for the future.
Yeah, Chapman's obviously, I think he's the odd man out as well because they've already told Andrew Miller that they're not moving him, and I don't think they're going to move Betances at all. Cause I think he's the most valuable player outside of Chapman. So, I don't know. All right, you want to talk about Kershaw real quick, being shut down for the immediate future?
We wanted to talk, as a Dodgers fan. I kind of mentioned this on an earlier pod. I already felt like the Dodgers weren't going to be maybe a wild card, but I didn't feel like they had a chance at the division. Without Kershaw, even those wild card hopes are dashed. And even aside from Kershaw, I think he's the best pitcher in the game. When he's healthy and when he's pitching, it's just crazy. His numbers and just all the analytics are insane. But Yasiel Puig is a big deal over there too. Because speaking of being a seller, the Dodgers, even though they're not in a position necessarily to have to sell or to want to sell, they're talking about moving him, and now he's apparently coming on a little bit. He looks, he's still, today was kind of decent at best. But it'll be interesting to see where the Dodgers are at, because without Kershaw, they're not a contender. So what are they going to do with their pieces? They have a lot of young guys, so that's good. Peterson, Seager, some of the staff, some of the other guys. But I feel like really Kershaw is the MVP for the simple fact that he is the one player that as soon as he's hurt, that team has zero chance of making any noise. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but
yeah, I agree definitely. Without Kershaw, I mean, they have no hope, especially with the way the Giants are playing. You know, the best record in MLB. Madison Bumgarner is, you know, it's an even year, so.
Yeah, that's true.
And besides Yasel, I mean, the guy's 25 years old. Even though I don't think they might make the playoffs this year, I still think they should hold on to him because, you know, there's a lot of upside with the kid. And, you know, it's hard to find a player like that.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't trade Puig. I know he's you know, he has the temper tantrum issues, and he's not the best locker room guy. But he has you remember like 2 years back, people in fantasy baseball were drafting him like in the first and second round. You know, he has that type of talent. It's just he needs to put it together himself. But as you said with the loss of Kershaw, right now the Dodgers are 1 game ahead of the Marlins for the first wild card spot, and then you have the Mets, Pittsburgh, and St. Louis breathing down their necks too. So it depends for me how long Kershaw's out. So if he's out indefinitely,
yeah, I mean he said
2
he
months,
didn't feel good today. They're putting him back on the shelf. And I do agree to. I think I agree with you guys on Puig. The one thing I kind of was thinking about, and I would compare him to, for those of you who know Dodgers history, they had a player named Adrian Beltre, third baseman, when he was really young. You know, came into the majors, first year, second year, third year, supposed to be like, you know, hot shit, and struggled. And he, you know, was impatient at the plate, swung at bad pitches, just kind of, you know, looked out of sorts at times at the plate. And I just saw something in the kid. And I remember I had a really good friend at the time who was a big Dodgers fan. And for like 3 seasons, 2.5, 3 seasons, I was like, just wait, be patient. He's going to be good, I promise. And sure enough, he had that season. He knocked out 49 home runs and just like tore it up. I forget his average, but it was like over 300 if I remember correctly. And just was a madman at the plate. And, you know, the Dodgers, you know, I mean, obviously they didn't want to pay him and they let him go, and now he's having basically a Hall of Fame career. But Puig, you know, not that Puig's going to necessarily do the same thing, but he's only been in the majors a few years. You know, he's still young, relatively young in that sense, and you know, he might come around. I feel like you give him a little more time. There's still a chance there. There's still a window there where where the game will come to him a little better, and where he can be a solid player.
I feel like that's an organizational problem for the Dodgers. I mean, at least now. I don't know how long ago was it that Beltre was there? That they pay a lot of money for the wrong players, and it's really not, especially their payroll, which is the largest payroll in Major League Baseball, and they're here as a wild card team, and it just goes to show you that baseball isn't a game that you can throw money at anymore. You know, the way the Yankees used to do it may not work anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because they bought guys in the past under the old Met ownership. They bought guys that were kind of on their last legs. You know, Steve Finley at the end of his career, for example. But then they would let other guys go, and now you know they're not necessarily they're building youth, obviously, because they have some young players. But they let Greinke go last year, and it's like you have all the money in the world essentially. Here's a perfect example of if Kershaw goes down for any reason, and you don't have that next guy that can step up, in big games.
Yeah, that was a big loss. That was definitely a big loss.
Yeah, and so I don't know that what their long-term vision is, but they did let him get away. They let some other opportunities slip through their fingers. So as a Dodgers fan, I've been none too excited for a while now. But I mean, I feel like it's better than it was a few years ago, at least.
The Dodgers, for me, always seem to be in that perpetual "I want to win now" mode, and they'll throw away good prospects. Like they just threw away D. Gordon to the Marlins a few years back, and they got Andrew Heaney on the deal for the Marlins. From the Marlins,
don't remind me.
We got D. Gordon, but then you guys immediately trade Heaney for Howie Kendrick, who's old and who's going to be done in the out of the league in a few years, and he's barely useful now.
He's been this year actually he's surprisingly decent. He's been okay. D. Gordon, I guess the only knock on D is obviously the PED or whatever suspension.
Yeah, but he was a .335 hitter last year.
But his numbers were crazy, and like you said, they give up youth. they're not willing to be patient in the right situations, and then when they are patient and somebody pays off, they let them go.
Bless you.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I thought I muted that.
I'm just imagining like a D. Gordon and Corey Seager 1-2 punch up the middle.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
And then Trace Thompson's coming on, and if Jock can get a little better at the plate, that young talent is there for sure.
Yeah, that's true. They do have some really nice pieces, but especially that Uyas kid. But hopefully they don't trade him away. You never know. They might do it. They might trade him away for some old garbage player in a few years. Like that Carl
Would not
Crawford,
surprise me.
That Carl Crawford signing a few years back, that was just baffling to me. But
and the Ethier, oh my God, don't even get me started.
They just took the Boston Red Sox dumpster fire. Oh man.
Anyway, all right. Well, let's move. I thought of this earlier. I was curious, and I knew fantasy was coming on. Wanted to pick his brain. So I have a couple questions for you before we get to another cool thing that we wanted to talk about. But my first question I wanted to ask you guys is, what is a record in sport, any major sport, that you feel is unbreakable? What's the most unbreakable record that's on the books right now?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one.
I got my answer first if you want me to go. I think for me, it's Cal Ripken's Ironman record for the 2,000 games that he didn't miss in a row. I think, especially with today's game, that players are they're rested frequently, so they're not injured. They try to keep them fresh and all that. That record I don't think will ever be broken, just because of the mindset of the baseball today, where you have to protect your players, especially your stars, and give them days off on Sundays or travel days, or on Thursday travel games. So for me, that 2,000 or so. Let me look it up. I know it's above 2,000.
Yeah, it's 2,191. I think was when he broke it, and then he extended that, I believe. I remember watching that on TV when I was a teenager, a young teenager.
I remember that when I was a kid too. Why can't I find this out?
Because it didn't happen.
2,130 straight games was the old record.
That was the record. There we go.
That he broke. And I
think I was combining that and Pete Rose's hits record number.
Yeah, so he went 2,632 before he willingly sat out of the final home game of the 1998 season.
Jesus.
So that record for me will never be broken ever. So.
And what do you think, Fantasy?
I think going back to football, I think it's still the Brett Favre, the Iron Man streak. I mean, the guy has played over 20 years or so. He started 321 games. I mean, I don't see it. I see the list up here. The closest active player is Eli Manning. He's at 194. I mean, I don't see how anyone could break that record. The guy played through every single injury you could think of.
Jeez.
Yeah, definitely that's up there. I kind of agree with Gus. Actually, when I first pondered the question, that was the first thing that popped in my head. But I think the other one for me, just how things are now, is it? I want to say Jesus, I'm going to say the wrong name and be stupid. Is it Cy Young? 511 wins?
I don't know. I'm not sure on his win total.
Is it? It's got to. I know it's Cy Young or Whitey Ford, and my brain just went blank. But to have whichever one of the two it is that has 511 wins as a pitcher, that just is. There's just no way that that's ever going to happen again, given the way rotations are, given how cautious they are with pitchers. Yeah, it's Cy Young. And I mean, what's more impressive, I think, about Gus's record than that one is that it's a more modern record, or even the Brett Favre record. It's a more modern record. Because there are a lot in the old, a long time ago, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years ago, that you're like, oh yeah, that's just been there. But it was a different generation, different era. The game was different.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true.
So, yeah, I can say 511 wins isn't going to happen, and we all kind of would agree with that. But the fact that Favre was doing it in the 90s and 2000s, and that Cal Ripken was doing it in the 80s and 90s, I think that's a really neat thing to be able to like look back. Hey, that wasn't that long ago.
And especially to Fantasy Insider's Brett Favre record that he pointed out. To do that in the NFL, man, that's like all the hits you take, especially all the hits Brett Favre took. He wasn't like being protected like Tom Brady, if you will. But he, that's to go through all those injuries and all that, man, that's impressive. And especially, half of that was in a different era of the NFL where you could hit the quarterback and not get a 15-yard penalty. So that's crazy. That was a hell of a record. And it's to see their testament of their will.
Yeah, the closest that I could see maybe even matching it is Eli Manning, and he has to play like 8 seasons, and he's already up there in age. So
I don't think he has 8 seasons left in him, as a career.
Yeah, he's already 35 years old. I don't see that.
Never had 8 seasons to begin with. I don't know how he has 2 Super Bowl rings. Don't ask me.
His defense got hot.
So my other follow-up, I have one more question that I wanted to just kind of put out there and see what you guys thought about. So most unbreakable record. What is the record in sport, major sport, you most want to see broken?
Oh, I don't know. That's hard.
Well, that's a tough one.
If I wasn't a Dolphins fan, I would definitely say the NFL perfect season record. But I'm a Dolphin fan, so that would never be broken. Damn.
Close. It's been close.
It's been close.
You can thank Eli Manning for that.
I will every time. Do you have one?
All right, fair enough. You guys are at a loss, I guess.
No,
I think I'm gonna have to go with probably Eric Dickerson's rushing record. I just want to see someone like run wild, all over the place. I mean,
I like that. Nice.
AP came close to it, but I think he fell a little bit short. I just want, especially with the backs we have right now, Todd Gurley, David Johnson, young backs coming up. I think that definitely could be broken in the next couple of years. I would love that for that to happen.
I just think that's a record that's so hard to break, just because of the way the NFL is now with the RB committees, and you don't have, even if you have a bell cow back, even that bell cow takes a break here and again, except for like Adrian Peterson or Todd Gurley. So I guess it would have to be, one of those guys again to try to do it. As you said, AP was close about, 4 years ago, I think it was. But man, it's a monster record to break. You have to have like 3 200-yard games. That's a really tough record to break. But
yeah.
I'll just when I first pondered it, I jumped to baseball again. That 56 DiMaggio streak.
Exactly. Yes, that's gonna be my answer as well.
I think for me, because you get to 20 games, it's interesting, but nobody really cares. You get to 30 games, people start kind of listening, and then paying attention, and then it's like you get up to like 35 or even get close to 40, then it's like every single game is an event. Or every single game has like some buzz to it. You want to be there, you want to see it, or you want to watch it, or whatever. So I think that's a cool record because, obviously since baseball's played like essentially every day or almost every day, it's something that like builds and builds and builds. But you don't have to wait too long. It's like you're building each day to that goal. I think that'd be a really cool record. Even if it's not broken, someone to get close to 50 or get up to that 50 mark and just like really get a lot of buzz around it.
Yes, but when I'm a Marlins fan, as I've said many times. So back I think it was like in 2002. Let me look it up. Yeah, 2002. I was right. Luis Castillo. I don't know if you guys remember this. Obviously, maybe not. But he had a 35-game hit streak going on. That was the farthest he got. I think it was 35 games. So like when that was going on, that was like a big deal for the Marlins because obviously at that time we're a young team. We only have one championship. So, and like the city was going crazy, we were following this hit streak like nobody's business. But I understand what you mean. Like nowadays, you'll have hit streaks, like you'll have like an 18 to 20 game hit streak and you won't even know about it unless you look it up. Or like you've been alerted about it through ESPN or like your fantasy page. But yeah, I think that's one of those other records that's just so hard to break because 56 games is a fucking lot.
Guys can just walk you.
Yeah, it's nuts, honestly.
Yeah, it's impressive what he did.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think Gus, we need to swerve a little bit away from sports.
Yes, fuck sports.
Unless you guys want to talk about golf.
Man, what a round by that dude. I forgot his name already.
Henrik Stenson.
Henrik Stenson.
Hey, Swedish.
We're gonna.
Yeah, I was rooting for Phil because I'm kind of a Phil guy, but anyway.
Shut up.
It's a great round. It's just amazing to watch that last putt.
No. Shut up. This is. We
Hey
don't.
guys, After Dark podcast goes golf.
We don't talk about hockey or golf on this fucking thing, okay? That's like the only two things we don't talk about.
Oh, man.
Sorry, Kevin. That's Wally Central who loves golf. Fuck golf. So.
Hey, he's in our headquarters golf league with me, fantasy golf league.
Yeah, you can go fuck. You can take that league and shove it up your ass because we don't talk about golf.
I can never play fantasy golf.
The best part of it is you don't have to know who. You just have to know, like, hey, this guy's playing this week. Click.
I'd rather talk about professional airsoft than golf.
Oh my god, that's a thing?
That is a thing, apparently. I found that out the other day.
What is this world coming to?
People make money off being fake soldiers.
Professional airsoft?
Yeah. So, okay. We got.
Yeah, go for it, Gus.
Yes, we have a special top 5 edition. As you know, the top 5 segment is when we talk about our top 5 favorite things in a certain category. And last week we did top 5 artists or bands, and for Fantasy Insider, we know he likes to drink and party, so we're going to talk about our top 5 favorite alcohol and alcoholic brands. So please, Greg, start us off. What's your top 5 favorite alcohol?
All right, let's go. I'm gonna do a variety. Number 1, probably just straight Jack Daniel's whiskey. Nothing too expensive, goes down smooth. Jack and Coke is my drink of choice. If you know anything about me, you know that. Number 2, haven't had it for a while, a little pricier, but Maker's Mark.
Ooh, yes.
Cannot go wrong there. When I'm feeling like celebrating a little bit harder, if that's the way to go. Number 3, I would say let's go with a vodka. I usually go on the cheap side, but there's nothing wrong with some Smirnoff.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Pretty standard stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
You always
goes down smooth, whatever.
You always see that at your high school parties.
Yeah. Well, you know what? UV is the really cheap one. That's not bad though. Like surprisingly. Or even that Seagram's. Anyway.
Seagram's. No, God.
Seagram's is not bad for the price.
Oh, God.
Number 4, because I have to have a rum, I will go with, what's the fucking, I haven't had rum in a long ass time. What's the coconut rum?
Malibu?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Coconut Malibu rum, like when I want like a sweet drink. And then number 5, I'm going to throw in some tequila. I'm not a big tequila guy. It doesn't always do well with my stomach. But Patron.
Oh, God.
Wow.
A nice bottle of Patron.
So is that your number 1? Like you...
No, number 1 is Jack. Number 1 is Jack and Coke.
So no particular order.
Yeah,
I was thinking this was a countdown.
I went just down the line of like, if I had to like, I was in the store and had to make a snap choice.
Okay.
Jack Daniel's. Boom, this. There's plenty others on the list of things I will drink and things I will try, but those are kind of my go-to, my staples. If I'm in a store and I'm like, hey, I don't really know what I want, but I want tequila or rum or whiskey, that's the list.
All right. Fantasy, you're up.
All right. My 5, I think, obviously Jack and Coke is in my 5, but I like a drink. A lot of people don't know this drink. It's actually called absinthe.
Oh,
Any of you heard?
Jesus Christ.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I drank that when I was like out of the country. It's like a Middle Eastern drink, and that shit, I swear to God, I had like 4 cups.
Oh my God.
I walked out of the room, and like the next thing I know is the next morning, blacked out of shit. That shit was fucking nuts.
That's like almost illegal in the United States.
It is. It has like some wormwood shit that I read about it. It's like some fucked up shit, honestly. I tried to get a bottle back to the States because I wasn't sure they sell it.
No, we don't.
And then, I don't think they sell it. They sell like the cheap version or like the one without the wormwood or some shit like that. So I tried to get it. I was in the airport. I thought I made it. And then when I get to JFK over here, they open up my bag and they fucking take it away. So I was fucking pissed as shit.
Jesus.
Oh my god. That's awesome.
But that hurt me. Thinking
Yeah.
about it.
Yo, that was so painful. The second they threw it up the trash, I was like, fuck.
Oh, you know they're drinking it in the back.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why they miss all that shit going through the security.
Oh,
Yeah, I got so happy I thought I made it. Then they freaking stopped me at JFK. Fucking.
Oh, gun, knife. Oh shit, we need that bottle right there of absinthe.
Leave the other stuff.
Yo, absinthe is
everything else is fine. We need that bottle.
All right, what's
and
your other?
obviously Grey Goose vodka. I drink that almost every other weekend. It's especially in New York, bottle service clubs. At every club, everyone gets Grey Goose. I mean, that's like the main drink in New York.
Jesus.
And I like another drink. It's like a German drink. I don't know if you heard of it. It's called Jägermeister.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to drink that, like, let's say, because it doesn't get me too fucked up. So I like to get tipsy on that drink, Maybe I'm going, like, clubbing. I pregame a little with some Jaeger.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm at the club, my last drink is beer Corona.
Okay.
I mean, I drink that shit every fucking day.
Yeah,
Can't go wrong with the fucking bottle of beer.
That's true. I mean, I'm not a beer guy myself, as you'll find out in this list I'm about to say. So I think my number 5 is Bailey's, liqueur, because, man, you can put that in anything. It tastes so good. It's like tasting chocolate milk that has alcohol in it. That's so good. Like, especially
put that shit in coffee all day.
Yeah, so exactly what my point is. You ever had something called a baby Guinness?
Baby Guinness.
Yeah, some places call it differently when I tell you the ingredients. So basically it's a shot that you put coffee Patron into it, and then you put a little bit of Bailey's, and like you just shoot it, and it looks like a Bailey's cup because the Bailey's like rises to the top because it's it's I don't know why, because it doesn't have as much content, I guess you can say. It's less dense. So it looks like the foam of a Guinness. That's why they call it a baby Guinness. It is so good. It's like sweet. Oh Jesus! You're like coughing out your lungs.
Did you guys pick that up?
Yeah.
My mute button is not. Are you hearing me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Use the mute button on the Skype.
Oh my god, I'm dying over here. Sorry.
All right. So, if you ever,
I was thinking about drinking like a whole fat ass bottle of Guinness right now.
Yeah, it's really good. It tastes like a little coffee shot. So that's my number 5 drink. It would be that baby Guinness shot with the Baileys, I should say. So my number 4 would have to be Maker's Mark as well. That's me. That's my favorite whiskey along with Knob Creek. So I'll have Knob Creek as like my number 4 alternate. For me, I like Maker's Mark. It's pretty smooth. My number 3. Whew, man, I love rum. I have like rum with anything.
Really? I don't know.
I've
never been a rum guy. I don't know.
I love it. I don't know what it is, but rum and coke is my go-to drink. So you ever heard of Flor de Caña rum? It's like a Puerto Rican rum. It's very good.
Yeah.
Then you have my second favorite rum, or my favorite rum is it's a more expensive rum. It's called Zacapa. I forgot where it's from, but it's like super sweet and it's super expensive. And then my number 1 drink. Man, I had it in my tongue. I lost it. Oh, I like Captain Morgan. That's like the classic.
Yeah,
that's like the classic. Oh, we're high schoolers and we need to get drunk really fast. Here's a bunch of Captain Morgan for $18. Here you go.
Yeah.
True. I got destroyed off that in high school, and I still love it to this day. So
for sure.
Those are my top 5.
Can't go wrong with that shit.
Yeah, not much debate this time around as far as alcohol.
Yeah.
Whatever gets you drunk the fastest, which should be everybody's.
Probably don't drink absinthe.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, that shit, I swear, 4 cups, I was fucking out.
Yeah.
Well, I want to, I'm not going to rant tonight, but I'm going to say I'm a little perturbed. My last microphone and headset, the mute button wasn't working. Now this one apparently has I've been like coughing all night and like sneezing at some point. I feel like I thought I was muted, so if all that stuff got picked up, I apologize. Hopefully it adds some character to the pod, if nothing else, or Gus will just mute the hell out of my mic. I apologize
I'm going to mute you.
that happened. I'm pissed off. I'm not happy.
I'm going to mute the entire... Every time you talk, I'm just going to mute it. And I'm not even going to cut it.
I honestly, I'm like, oh, cough, cough, and I'm like, oh, nobody said anything, cool.
I'm not even going to cut it out.
I guess I'm just going to have to do it manually on the actual Skype call, but...
Yeah.
So I just want to put that out there. I'm sorry.
When I mute you, I'm not even going to cut, the dead air. I'm just
going to...
I'm going to leave...
It's going to be like space.
I'm going to leave the dead air there.
This is where... so people know. Go back in and make commentary. This is where he almost coughed up a lung. And
this is where...
And that's in there instead of what I actually did.
This is where the hype wanted to talk, but he wouldn't shut the fuck up. So this is the part. Just leave the dead air.
Third headset now. God damn. Or just unplug that shit every fucking time that I'm not talking.
Fuck you, Boozman. Fucking messaging me and shit.
Wait, what happened?
Boozman's messaging me and shit in the chat.
Let me make sure that I have not forgotten anything. Gus.
Oh, yes.
Do we have
our model of the week?
I don't know if we have a model of the week this week.
I'll look her up. Oh, yeah.
Fantasy Insider. Who's the model of the week?
Who's your hottest model?
Yo, my friends are fucking obsessed with this girl, Rachel Bush. I don't know why.
Oh, let's look her up. She sounds familiar.
You don't know Rachel Bush?
She sounds familiar.
Rachel Bush.
I'm saying she sounds
Yo, you have to know her. I swear you have to know this girl. She was in Miami, I think it was Miami or... No, it was Cancun on spring break. They bumped into her.
Shit.
She was at the Grand Oasis Hotel. They got like pictures, they drank with her and shit. She's actually dating a player on the Cleveland Browns. He's like a safety or something.
Oh, jeez, the Browns.
Why is she dating such a loser?
I don't know.
Man, this girl is really fine. Okay, yeah, this is brought to you by Fantasy Insider. The model of the week is...
Yeah, I like it. On the spot. He just goes with it.
Rachel Bush. Jesus, she's fine. Yeah. She has an ass to die for, too.
Yo, that friends are fucking obsessed, I swear.
I'm surprised I didn't know about her before.
I feel like the name was familiar, but I couldn't have placed it.
Alright, so... Anything else we have to add?
Well, yeah.
Hello? Anything else you want to add? Jesus. Are you drunk?
No, I was trying to mute this shit again. I don't know what's wrong with my fucking stuff.
You're worse than the Ghostbusters movie.
I have not seen the Ghostbusters movie.
I heard it's horrible.
I heard it was just kind of generic and the plot wasn't great or anything. So
I heard it was a bunch of...
Nothing to do with the fact that it's 4 female actors or actresses, because everyone's all up in arms about that bullshit, but I don't really care. I just want to have a good story. We talked about that too.
Have you seen Ghostbusters? Fantasy? Hello?
Ghostbusters? Nah, I don't think, honestly, I fucking watched that shit.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Hey, well, that was
insightful.
Insight into movies with Fantasy Insider and the Hype.
How old is that movie?
No, this one was coming out.
The new one just came out. Kind of like not a remake, but kind of like a reboot.
Yeah, they strictly rebooted because the characters from the original one, Bill Murray and Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd and the other one I don't know his name. They have roles in the film that are like completely different, and like they don't mention that.
It's Ernie Hudson, isn't it?
Yeah, I never saw the original. I'm sorry, audience. I never saw the original film.
Black guy, so.
Oh well, that's just racist.
Yeah, it's pretty racist, dude.
But yeah, apparently the new movie is like really bad. Like the entire movie is just about making fun of men, which is unfortunate. Which, for a movie that's gotten so much buzz about being feminist and like trying to make women empowered, that they just want to make fun of women, or excuse me, of men. And actually, spoiler alert, but in the end of the movie, like you know how they kill the final boss? They shoot the final boss in the dick.
Oh, I heard about that, yeah.
What the fuck?
They shoot the boss in the dick, so...
Yeah. That's kind of, like, ironic in a sense, yeah.
I guess, yeah. It's to me, it's unfortunate, but...
Yeah, no, I agree, yeah.
I think we're done with the podcast today, gentlemen. I want to thank Fantasy Insider for joining us. Fantasy Insider, wave, say bye to the fans.
Thanks for having me. Anytime, man.
There you go.
Awesome, dude.
Thank you for joining.
And I get to get a refill now. Refill, Jack and Coke.
Refill of. You're actually drinking? No wonder you've been so shitty tonight.
I've been trying to. No, I'm not even drinking that much. I just the goddamn mic mute.
Oh, so you're normally this
I've been
shitty.
trying to, not go and make another beverage, so that doesn't get picked up either.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. All right, everybody, for the After Dark podcast, for the Hype, and for Fantasy Insider, our guest, I'm going to thank you all for joining us. Toodaloo, motherfuckers. Listen to us next week.